There we go. Welcome and good to have you with us tonight. It is what, December 2nd? We woke up this morning. I woke up this morning. Danielle woke up this morning. Now we woke up this morning. We usually take a walk. And we were up and usually take a walk at 5:45. We do that twice a week. And Danielle lives about what, a mile? Less than a mile?
Less than a mile, about 500 feet.
Right. So it was 39 degrees. We live in Florida. We weren't expecting that. And so that woke me up. By now, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm usually in bed by now. So your being here will perk me up, and I appreciate your being here. Thanks for being on the program. We'll have a nice conversation. Talk a little bit about what's going on this year. Talk about how we recovered and how practices that we're working with are recovering, and we'll talk about those top 10 characteristics that seem to be, these were the running characteristics. We'll talk about that. Then later on, we have two guests, doctors that we're working with, Dr. Ajay Setya and Dr. Mark McCauley, and we'll talk about what they're doing and how their practices have gone this year. And then we'll give you an opportunity to join or sign up for consulting or just say hi, whatever you'd like. The whole idea is to give you tools. Even many of you know that we're doing treatment planning webinars on Fridays. I don't know if I'll do it this Friday. We'll see. I'll let you know on Thursday. All of it is to give you tools. The treatment planning webinars, of course, are at no cost. You don't even have to be a member of the IDS. God forbid that you should not become a member of the IDS, but you don't have to be a member of the IDS to take part in the treatment planning webinar. So, it just opens up, and so that we can share cases and we can look at not just cases and not just look at how we diagnose and treatment plan, but how we talk about it in terms of director of dentistry terms in order to be able to get people on board with big cases centered from us. And when we were referral practice, sending them out to the best referral sources so they can do the restorative and how we do that. And so we're talking about treatment planning from start to finish and talking about what we do here in order to be able to work the case. And whether you have a dentist in-house or whether you have favorite dentist you work with outside, you can do it both ways. And we did it both ways for many, many years. So not both ways. We did one way. We were referral practice when Danielle started. This referral practice for a long time. So anyway, that's where we are. So anything you want to say?
Our social distancing.
Hello, how are you? So let's talk about the 10 characteristics first. And if you have some questions, just put it in the Q&A box and we'll cover that later on. So this, you all received Dental Economics. You saw this magazine. You saw this magazine. You saw this cover. This just came yesterday, the day before. Okay, the economics of dentistry are changing. The time to find your new business model is now, and we've been proposing that for a long time. The business model is going to change. It's going to change in your lifetime. I know you'd like to keep the referral source business model, and I hope you do. And some of you watching this right now will. But it's going to be fewer and fewer and fewer because the market is changing. Group practices are coming into being. All of the other factors that are there that are reducing the possible number of referral sources that are there. And I know for those of you who've been listening to us for many years now, it's a broken record. There's so many more people out there than the people that are being referred, and there's so much better patients sometimes. So it's not something to worry about. It's just a matter of redoing your business model, looking at your business model and saying, all right, it's time to change, and we can gradually move forward. As a matter of fact, the two guests are doing exactly that, and then they'll share. They'll share what we're doing. This doesn't have to be traumatic. It's an opportunity. And once you see that opportunity, once you open the door to the opportunity and train yourself to be able to take advantage of those patients because they're different patients from the ones that are referred, you're going to feel so good, so good, so good. Okay, so what are the top 10 characteristics? Go ahead, Danielle. I've said everything so far.
That's fine. They handle staff problems quickly and prevent flow interruptions.
Yeah. So, and you handle staff problems quickly.
Yes.
I'm sometimes one of the staff problems you're handling.
Yes, sometimes so. But the important part is the doctor should not be involved in this. So when I'm working either in our practice here or working with the clients outside our practice, what I do try to do a lot is to prevent those problems from making it to the doctor. A lot of times the doctor is the person that the staff feels like they have to go to, or to vent to, or to tell them something's wrong, or express their upset, or a patient's upset. And I try to prevent that here because I want to keep my doctor high tone, in cell mode, in production mode, in treatment planning mode, and not be stopped by these. Because when you're in a good mood and you're high tone and you're excited and you're in there, if someone comes to you with a problem or they're upset, they're crying, they're mad, they're frustrated, it doesn't help the doctor. It doesn't help your stats. It doesn't help any of that. So I spend a lot of time to show the methods it takes to put people in places to prevent those from going to doctors. It's not that I keep them from him. I just wait for certain times to discuss those with him.
And we look at flow. The flow is something where, all right, what do you mean by flow? There is a flow of patients, they go through the office, go to certain stations. There is a flow when somebody's answering the phone. There's flows that occur. And if there's a kink or if there's some barrier to that flow, anytime there's a barrier, let's assume a patient's coming into your office for the first time. The patient's sizing you up, trying to figure out whether you're the right doctor. If you see a flow interruption, doctor has to leave. Staff members starts talking with another staff member and interrupts the flow between you and the patient. Anything that disturbs that flow sequence, where you're moving a patient through a sequence to accepting treatment and getting treatment accepted that they're going to really benefit from. As soon as you put any kink in that flow or any barrier in that flow, the patient then starts saying, all right, what's wrong? And starts thinking about all the reasons that he or she didn't want to be in your office to begin with. And there's less treatment acceptance. So if there's a staff problem, the staff problem is essential to your office, and any staff member is essential to your office. Otherwise, why would she or he be there? You've got to handle those quickly so the flow occurs and continues to work.
Yes. They design their schedules.
Yeah, they design their schedules. Number of offices that we've consulted with. Danielle walks in the office and a patient is appointed whenever the patient wants to be appointed. POT, I can only come in at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's the only time I can come in. And we accept it. All right, we want to do everything we can for the patient. And so patient schedules themselves, and we end up with a book that's full of non-productive procedures, often with spaces in between. And therefore our production is down because we've essentially let the patient design our book rather than our designing our book.
Right. Or they have too many people involved in the schedule, which one person may have great ideas on keeping things productive, but the other 5 or 6 don't, which doesn't help the situation either. So there are methods, and this is something I always teach going into offices because I always find it as an out. Even with really good experienced people who have a good idea of how schedules are supposed to flow, to be productive, there's always a way of improving it. So even if you feel like it's good now, it can be better. And the better your schedule is, making it productive where your stats are not fluctuating every week, up, down, because maybe you have a high new patient count one week and a high production count the next week. And so it's constantly up and down. We can make it consistent to where you're seeing the same number of new patients per week, the same number of production per week, meaning that you have control over they're doing more or less or however that is. So it's maximizing your staff, maximizing your production, maximizing the new patients that you can see per week, which will bring in that income and the production, and also give you more control of if your stats are down and you want to do more, you can make it more. So instead of scheduling based on, emotions of, oh, we need more new patients, oh, we need more production, this guy can't come in but 1 o'clock every single, Tuesday or whatever it is, it's finding ways to train your staff to get those scheduling templates and to talk to the patients so that they don't get upset when you tell them that you can't do them at that time, and making your stats more consistent.
It's amazing. Patients will come in when you ask them
Oh, yeah.
to.
You do it. We all do it.
It works. All right. They look at morale as the key indicator in their staffs and themselves. So what does that mean? Happy, 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 happy. You can't be fake happy. I mean, there has to be, we talked about taking care of staff problems. Well, the reason you take care of a staff problem is to make the staff member happy. And by the way, there's some staff members you'll never make happy. All right, we know that. Some staff members don't belong in practices. We know that. But for the staff member that's there, we're all going to have some problems. Sometimes we'll bring some problems in from outside. It's not even allowed in our rule book, by the way. But they will bring some problems in. We've got to make sure that morale is looked at, and if there's a problem, fine, get the problem talked out and get the patient, get the staff member up here. Why do so many patients accept treatment in our office? Why do we do so many big all on 4, 5, 6 type of cases? Because people say, this is the place I want to have it done. And part of that is morale.
Yep. Our patients tell us they feel good coming to our office because we're all happy and work well together and we're organized and we're efficient and it doesn't look chaotic. And a lot of that has to do with the staff that we have chosen to work in our office. We want to find people that fit in our dynamic, people that complement our practice. We're not going to hire just anybody and just deal with it because it's a warm body. You can't do that. And many times I go into practices and sometimes it's the most key people that are in the practice that are the problem makers, and they are the ones that are putting stops in the productions and flow of the practice. But when you're working in it every day, and when you feel like you just can't go with one less person, you're never going to make that decision of this person has to go. So I think one of the best things that I have to offer to your practice is I'm an outsider coming into your practice, looking in with new eyes, a person that works in a periodontal office full-time, that works front desk, surgery, assisting, treatment planning. I do it all. So I can see things that are not right. And sometimes these people don't fit. They convince you that you can't run your practice without them. They convince you that if they go, it's all going to fall apart, or people are going to go with them, or the doors are going to close. And you really start to feel that way. So it's hard to distinguish between just should I do it, should I not do it, what's going to happen if I do it. So I do help with that. It's not that I come in and make you fire everybody, but sometimes that person needs more training. Sometimes that person needs to go through some drilling or exercises to do that better. And I do have a way of connecting with staff, good, bad, to either improve them or decide that that person maybe should not be staying. And I've never had a time where someone left and someone told me, I wish I'd never done that. They always come back and say, I wish I would have done that sooner, because it makes a big difference when they leave.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so they have staff meetings to increase morale and achieve goals.
Yes, very important. How often do you have those? So we do teach those to be done once a week, a full 1-hour staff meeting every single week. That doesn't replace huddles. You still have huddles every single day to boost that morale and get everybody on board. But those staff meetings are very important. And there's a sequence that goes with that we teach our members, and especially when I do consulting, to come in and say, what are you doing during your staff meetings? Well, we don't really like doing staff meetings because everybody fights and argues, and it's just, so we just prefer not to do them. There is a right way to do it. It should not be done that way. So the staff meetings are there to sit with your team and say, okay, here is where we are. Here's where we want to be. Now, how are we going to do that together? So part of that, Dr. Shell and I get, we do decide that prior to the staff meeting. We do have an agenda. We do have we call them formulas, or there are battle plans, and they're based on our statistics, and they're based on the problems that we had the week prior to put together this plan. But we do involve our staff when we go to these meetings to say, what are the problems that you encountered? What are your ideas to fix this? What do you guys think about that? And together we do it. So, we have the rules of, you don't come with problems, you come with solutions, so that we can all sit together and make this work. So, and there is a formula to doing that. We teach that formula to where everybody knows what the stats are. They know what the goals are. They know what the new plan is, and they leave those meetings pumped up and ready to go to launch that for you, which is a great feeling to have.
Yeah. Do we have to have a staff meeting? Yes. Can you get along without having a staff meeting? Sure you can. But there are changes that are occurring every single week, every single day. There are things that need to be not just corrected, because you don't want to go through the bitch session. Yes, everybody, if we're making corrections, it's I have a problem, here's my solution. But it's also how we plan, how we build, and how we plan for the future. All of that is occurring at the staff meeting. People like the staff meetings. I mean,
Yes.
Staff likes the staff meetings.
Yes.
They're designed that way. And they feel good, they feel pumped, and they feel ready to go and put the plans in place. So we're growing. And that's the whole idea.
Right.
Growing and less stress. That's the whole idea. This is taking me a few clicks to get here, isn't it? They concentrate on written communication. That's my big deal.
It is this big deal.
All right,
Yes.
but you talk about it as why it's my big deal.
So written communication is clearly the way to go in your practice. It doesn't mean that we're all mimes walking around not talking to each other. There is verbal communication when it comes to patients, and there is verbal communication when it comes to the necessity of the moment. But other than that, we are working and we are writing information, and with all the offices I've worked with, we have taught the process of, if it can wait, if it's not urgent, you write it down, you put it in a community mailbox that you have in your office, or you have emails for everybody that you have on there, but you write it down. Then when that person is ready to take on that, because they're not running from one room to the other, or they don't have something on their mind that they need to go to a phone and call another doctor for, they're not in that mode, they can go to their inbox, pick up their mail, they can go to their email, open up the email, they can read what it is that you have to say, they can really think about it and concentrate on it and give you a good answer or a good solution back on that.
And it's on a piece of paper.
Mhm.
You can't say, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
It's right there.
Yes.
And they have to answer.
Right.
And it's on a piece of, you've taken the time to actually write out what you want.
The verbal interruptions are a huge deterrent to getting things done. It's a flow stopper. It's a clog. It gets people frustrated. It gets them on end. They get to where they don't like that person anymore. They're frustrated. She keeps doing this. You want to keep the tone high. You want to keep things efficient. So the written communication is the way to do it. And we do teach that a lot. We do have to reiterate that a lot, even in our own office, because we all go into the habit of, hey, just 1 second. Hey, you don't look like you're busy. Can I ask you this question? And they are. And then you forget what was on your mind. And then that starts frustration as well. So yes, it's a very good thing to put into your practice.
Okay, next one. Come on. There we go. They create treatment coordinators that diagnose, treatment plan, and close cases.
That's yours.
That's what I do. That's what you do. That's what we can all do. I tell you, I've got Jennifer, Laura, Joy. I also have Danielle. I have Courtney. And we're even training Jill now.
Yep.
What are we training them to do? We're training them how to take x-rays. We're training them how to talk to the patient, training them how to find out what the patient's needs are. And we're training them to read the x-rays to determine what the diagnosis is. And we're teaching them how to treatment plan. Yeah. Do we want them to treatment plan from me? Well, it'd be nice, but I did go to dental school for a couple of years, and maybe there's something there that's a benefit. But I certainly want every one of my assistants thinking about what we can do to help that patient and what the treatment plan might be. Laura's been with me for 15 years. She's a pretty darn good treatment planner.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It means that I can spend less time with the patient because the patient has confidence in Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Patient had confidence in Danielle when she was doing it. So I can do my diagnosis. I can do the periodontal probing. And by the way, hygienists can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more comfortable doing the probing. I just like getting my hands in. Um, and seeing and feeling. I mean, that's just me. But we can get through this examination process, and because let's assume Danielle, because you're right here. So Danielle starts the process. She's with the patient for 30 or 40 minutes before I walk in. She's gotten the history. She's talked with the patient about what the patient wants. She then takes the photographs and the X-rays and the CT scan and takes a look at it, and then she has some ideas as to what could be done. How does she know what can be done? Because she and I have been working together for
Right.
how many years?
A long time.
So she knows what I'm going to say. And she has my permission to talk with the patient. Is Danielle going to be right all the time? No, I'm not even right all the time. I think I am. But because Danielle has already taken a lead role and she looks like she's a much more qualified dental assistant than anybody this patient has had for the past 40, 50, 60 years of his or her life, all of a sudden Danielle is the one the patient is relying on. Yeah, I'm the doctor, and good, the doctor is there to designate the treatment plan and say this is what we're going to do. But then it goes back to Danielle, because Danielle has established the relationship and has already shown she has knowledge of what the case is and already has talked about some possibilities of what I may recommend once I walk in. I tell the patient when I leave from that examination, I say, listen, Laura, you'll be speaking with Laura for about an hour now to really go into detail about what I said and what I'm recommending and the different choices I'm recommending, the pros and cons of each. And I tell the patient, if you have a question, you want to talk with me, you just tell Laura, just tell Laura, and Laura will get me and I'll answer any questions. Do you know how many times I get called into the financial arrangements room to find out what the question is that the patient has that Laura can't answer?
None.
Now, will that happen right away? No, but you'll be surprised at how quickly your staff can pick things up and take a lot off your plate.
Right.
You don't have to explain a lot of things anymore because they can.
Yes. And patients do love it too. They really feel comfortable that your staff is that knowledgeable. They really do appreciate it, and it makes them feel ready to accept treatment in your office. This is all about how to differentiate yourself from other practices, because patients don't know how to compare the difference between you and others unless you show them. So there's a lot we do. There's a lot of time we spend to make sure that patients understand that we are different here and we are worth the investment here, and it does help them dramatically.
This is your deal. They put every aspect of the practice in the checklist. First of all, I totally support this. I think it's a great idea. I think the less thinking that goes on
Right.
in the office, the better. Most of the things we do are routine things. Yes, there are individual decisions sometimes when you get in and do a surgical procedure and you say, oh, I thought it was going to be this and it's something else. I know that. Let that be the exception rather than the rule.
Right.
And because everything is a routine, get it on as step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. This is how we do it. This is how we set it up. Whatever it is, get everything on a checklist. That way you only have to think about it once. And then the next time you go through the checklist and you do what the checklist says. Now, what happens if the checklist is wrong? Fine. If step number 7 really needs to be step number 8, good. You change that part of it. That's the thinking that's involved.
Right.
But get your routine down. It means that things are going to go quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to become more comfortable. There's going to be less thinking.
Yes.
Because all of the thinking has been done once.
It's less thinking. It's less errors, because I know for a fact everybody in our office really has the best intentions and they are hard workers. They don't goof off. They are serious workers. They're very professional, but they're also trying to multitask all day. They're trying to be helpful, to get their rooms turned around, get the patients in, get them ready to go, get the doctor in on time. There's a lot they're doing, and it's impossible for them to keep all that in their heads. So the check sheets don't only keep them on track, and they don't only prevent errors and only make us look like we are really on it in our office, but it's also accountability, because myself managing 20 people in a practice, I can't be everywhere at one time, and I can't assume all these great staff members are doing what they're supposed to do. So I depend on getting these checklists from people so that I can make sure that I'm getting things done and I'm not over their shoulder, micromanaging, making sure they're doing it, which is a waste of my time. I simply collect these checklists. They are opening checklists, closing checklists, procedure checklists, end of week, end of month. They are check sheets to let me know that things in that department are being well taken care of. And we do update them. We update them once a week, practically. Every 3 months, it is something that I do require all checklists get turned into me so I can make sure that they are keeping up with them and making sure they're up to date and being efficient. But they are a way that you can really have control, gain true control over your entire practice.
It is. And that's something that every successful business does. That's not just a dental practice. I mean, if you look at some of the most successful businesses, you think of them, they're all working on checklists.
Yep.
We're fortunate. I mean, we establish relationships with our personnel, and they're there for a long time.
Right.
Still, they work better on checklists than just innately knowing. But also, when a new employee comes in, whether it's in one of those big companies that's successful or in our office, how better to get somebody acclimated than to have a checklist and they say, all right, I just need to know what 1, 2, and 3 are, and then I'll do 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
It just works well. Okay, what's next? Click, click, click. Good. The doctors have office managers that they communicate with regularly. The purpose of those meetings is to implement plans and programs and download any concerns. Danielle will concentrate on the last 3 words of that, so go ahead.
Right. So I always stress the importance of meetings and in getting together. So one is, of course, the staff meeting we talked about before. But also it's meeting with that person, that manager that you have at least for 1 hour a week. It's very important. One, that leaves her time to keep track of all the stuff she wants to discuss with you. So she's not throwing it at you constantly, which is very overwhelming. And it does bring down your tone by doing that. So I think it's extremely important to hold those meetings, get from your office manager what she sees, what she feels, what she thinks the practice needs. It's also a great time for you to download on her to say, I saw this, I don't like this, I don't want this, I want this, I love this, let's get better at this. Can you get this for me? I saw this today, I read that the other day. All this stuff that you don't want, because if you don't do it for at least an hour once a week, it builds up, and then you start becoming the grumpy doctor, the bad doctor, the mean doctor, or things are not being it's not being solved correctly. So Dr. Sheldon's not allowed to talk to our staff. He's not allowed to really correct our staff because he doesn't know how to do it nicely most of the time.
Thank you. Sure, they're going to want to have me in for consulting.
The way our agreement is just keep working, stay high tone, keep a note of these, and when you come out of the room, come to my desk and say this, and this. Email me, say this, and this. Keep up your tone and keep working, and I will handle those issues. I will go talk to that person. I will set correction. I'll find out what's going on. I'll let you know that I resolved it. So I always let him know it's done. I fixed it. It's complete. Don't worry. Go back to work. And he knows I'm going to do it.
That's right. The fact is, I tell her I know what's going to happen. So that's part of the deal. You have an office manager. That office manager has to make it happen too.
Correct.
Yeah. Otherwise, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this?
Yes.
I wonder if you did that. I waiting until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yes. So we definitely show the ways to keep that communication going. So, and again, all this emphasis on you, the doctor, being able to treatment plan, to do your surgeries, to work with your patients, and that's it. Take you out of all those other equations. What else do you have?
They have a design marketing plan, creating several sources of referrals. So we've talked about that, and we'll talk about that again now. We all think if we're in a referral practice, I'll give you an example because some of you that are looking at this right now. I have to accept insurance because Dr. A, B, and C accept insurance, and unless unless I accept insurance, those doctors aren't going to refer to me. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. When you get to the point where you're saying, I'd like to get rid of insurance, but you've got you're dependent upon insurance because you're dependent upon Dr. A, B, and C, and you're seeing that the quality of those patients are going down because that usually happens. And you're seeing that the numbers of those patients go down because that usually happens too. Then you're saying, all right, periodontal practices aren't doing well. Periodontists are going out of business. Periodontists aren't doing very well. And what you do is, in order to be able to verify that, you check with another periodontist whose practice isn't doing so well either. And you see, all right, so now we've got a group think going on, and everybody's thinking negative, negative, negative. If you're thinking in that mode, I want you to know that if you have the skills, and if you have the business skills, and that's, of course, what we teach, then this single source of referrals, meaning doctors, is a very small source of referrals for us. Okay, we're a big referral practice. Well, I mean, when we referral practice, we get, what, 50, 60 referrals a month sometimes. Then it started going back down to 40 and, 40, 45 and 40. And then we started to open things up. And now, how many new patients are we seeing? 19 patients?
That's a minimum, 19 per week.
Minimum 19 patients per
Right.
week. And now you're making work even harder because it's Christmas rush. So that's what it can be. And there are a lot of people that are looking for services, and a lot of people are looking for somebody they can trust.
Right.
They don't even know they can see a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is create the marketing tools to be able to let them know that you are the place to go. Right. And the people who are going to gravitate to you are the people who have been burned and been out of dentistry for a long time, or people who want second opinions because the general dentist is doing perio in his or her office, and the perio isn't coming out quite so well. Those of you saw my essay that I sent out to those of you on the list, and if you're on the, that's why you're here, you're on my list, or you saw it in AAP Connect. Okay, patients need help. And they understand that they're not getting the help. But if they don't know that you exist and what you do, how are you going to be able to give them help? It's only marketing. And marketing right now, Eleanor just told me yesterday, our marketing is lower than it's been. It's 4% of our total budget. It used to be 5%, and I still recommend 5%. But, we're established. So you're established, then you have a flow of patients coming in. You don't necessarily need to market as intensely as we might first have when we became a primary care specialty practice. Mm-hmm. So good, the marketing dollars go down a little bit. That's great. And as long as we're seeing the patient flow that we need and we're getting the treatment acceptance that we need, then that's fine. Just know that there are those patients out there. I don't care where you are. I mean, we deal with people in big cities or in smaller areas, suburban, male, female, different age periodontists and other specialists. I mean, it's not a concern. It's just a matter of opening that up. And when you're only spending 5%, imagine the discounts you're taking on insurance right now, not 5%. Right. You're establishing your own fees. It is a fee for service, or we call it a fee for outcome practice. If they pay us a fee, we better give them an outcome. That's what we do. And if we don't give them an outcome, then we make sure we do give them an outcome, or we give them their money back. I mean, that's just the way it is. So let's go to the next one. I'm taking a lot of time, aren't we? Last one.
We have one left.
Yeah. They have hundreds of 5-star Google reviews.
Patients read those.
I know. By the way, we got somebody came in to us because we have great Yelp reviews. Somebody from Massachusetts. They use Yelp, and they're used to Yelp. Yelp is not a big deal. I know they want to make it a big deal, but in Central Florida, it's not a big deal. But Google reviews, everybody's has a Gmail account, or not everybody, but a lot of people do. People are Googling things. You need to get those reviews up there. Get those reviews up there. People are checking you out. The more reviews they have, the better. Your first goal is 100 good Google reviews.
Right.
And just get them. Just get them.
Right.
So, anything else?
No. So, these are just 10 of the top points recently. We have tons of points that we go over with our clients, with our members, of the ideas of ways that you can improve your practice or improve your enjoyment in your profession in doing so. And those are just for right now. Dr. Sheldon asked me, what are like the top 10 things that clients are asking for right now? When we work with our clients, there's many different things that you can do. You can say, hey, listen, I just want to be involved in the ideas. I just want to know what you guys do with the ideas, so you can simply become a member. With a member, you're going to get Monday morning minutes with their burst of information that Dr. Sheldon and I will send on Monday mornings. And a lot of our members announce those or have the teams listen to those every Monday morning, because it's less than 5 minutes that you listen to that. It's great ideas, things that we're doing or things that had just happened to us with the week before, like, hey, listen to this. This is what we did. And it made a good result. So we want to share it with you. Or we have the emails Dr. Sheldon sends with information just like that, but more detailed. We have the webinars that we do on phone answering or treatment acceptance or marketing or different things that are going on. And those are captured in our library, which has tons and tons and tons of modules, videos, training modules that you can go and look at the library and say, okay, one's called phone skills, phone answering. So maybe you want to beef that up a little bit, or communication organization, or treatment planning, or case acceptance. And you can click on those, and there's a library full of different things that you can listen to. A lot of my clients use those for their staff meetings, because I always say in your staff meetings, you should have a few minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes of education. Teach your staff something and use those modules, because they're beautiful videos that we have made to show your staff how to do something. So you can show it, you can talk about it, and you can keep working on that one module until you get it fully implemented into your practice, and then move to the next one. So sometimes being a member is just enough for you, because you have somebody, you have a good manager or good team that can watch those and share those and work together to implement those. And we have a lot of clients that do that, and they do it very, very well, and they're very happy. And for years and years, they've been doing that. And we also have a large majority of our members that join, and they say, it's great, I love it, it's all great stuff, but I just don't have time to sit there and go through those modules. And I don't have somebody in my practice like you that can watch those and train my staff. So they go to the next level, and we have different consulting that you can do. One of our members is on today and is going to talk, that has me come every 3 months or so to do on-site with them. I spend one day observing, taking notes. What is out? What can I improve? What can I change? What can I help them with? And the next day we sit around and we just show how to do that. We go over ideas of how to schedule better, answer phones better, gain more acceptance, work with your other referring offices better, have better communication organization, make things better, easier, work smarter, not harder type of ways of doing it. You can do that 2 days, all you need. And it boosts enough morale and excitement, and gives them that idea to float for 3 months, and then let's do it again. Another one you're going to see today on this webinar is someone who has hired me for a whole year. You can do a whole year consulting, because for that, it's every week meeting with your staff, talking to you. How can I help you? How can I help your manager? How can I help your team? Either when doing some training with a department, training with one person, talking and coaching with one particular person, or helping with one thing. Maybe it's implementing those check sheets. Maybe it's implementing those staff meetings. Maybe it's getting those phones to answer better, getting that schedule more productive and more consistent, to work through those for a year, which means I'm training with your staff once a week. I'm talking to you once a week. It's something where you want to make big strides, big changes, and hit some big goals by the end of the year. And that's what we brought on these guests today, to tell you what we have done for them.
Good. Jay, Mark, you want to turn on your cameras, your mics, and join us?
There they are.
There we go. So that's Dr. Mark McCollum, periodontist in Fort Lauderdale, Dr. Ajay Setya in Mission Viejo, California. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes.
So we can make this into a group discussion. It's fine with us. You know, people are on there interested to know what's happening or why the idea is. There's some people who've joined us for multiple webinars and some people who are on for the first time. But we talked a little bit about membership but both of you have signed up both for membership and for consulting. So let's talk first about consulting. Tell me, and we'll start with Dr. Setya. So Ajay, we've had relationship for the past 5 years. It was consulting, then off for a while, and now consulting again. So talk to the members as far as why you chose consulting, what you were thinking about to begin with.
Good. So I've been in practice for, thank you first of all for having me on. I appreciate it. I've been a periodontist for 25 years and bought a smallish practice and have more than quadrupled it in the last 20 years now.
Wow.
Through several consulting programs, by the way, like a lot of people, Blatchford, Levine, Scheduling Institute, etc. And I've gained something from each and every one of them. And then when I contacted you or you contacted me about 4 or 5 years ago, just from 1 or 2 conversations, you gave me some recommendations and I wasn't ready for those. And you're far ahead of your time, obviously. and so, but you could see the changes coming as much as you try to deny it. And you can see the industry changing and so forth. So this time, a year and a half ago, when we joined forces again, I could see changes coming. They were coming fast and furious, and COVID, I think, is going to accelerate that more. And the biggest thing I've noticed with your program is that I can keep my general dentists happier with the program than I could without the program. Now, what do I mean by that? You don't have to give up your referral sources because I've been working with them for years, and you can continue to do the referral business too, and then expand outside with magazine, website, etc. And like you said, send them patients, and they're like super happy with you. So your whole model doesn't need to change. So my model has not changed. It's changing at the edges as changes come. And I think it's going to grow the direct to consumer. But overall, the main things are the practice is up about 25% since I started working with you. I'm working 3 days a week instead of 4 days. So tomorrow, usually I'd be at work, but tomorrow I'm off. And my practice is going to produce $15,000 and I'll get a daily report that it did $15,000. I am absolutely loving the checklists. I mean, those are amazing, just life-changing, no question. And I used to hate staff meetings. Oh my God, I would be late for staff meetings. My car would break down. There would be all sorts of issues with staff meetings. And I actually prepare for staff meetings now. I actually show up. I actually enjoy them. They're positive. They're fun. So I'm excited. Can you tell?
I can tell. I can tell. Now, Mark McCauley has worked in Mark McCauley's practice was started by his dad. What was it, Mark? 1974?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, 45 years, give or take. So he doesn't like to talk about it because he's a little shy. But yeah, it's been a while. It's definitely been a while. So no, it's been nice because we're still kind of that family practice. We're still kind of solo practitioners. It's just me and him, and he's kind of cut back, especially with the COVID thing. He's cut back to about a day and a half a week. So now I'm the top dog in town. So it's definitely nice to have that transition. But it's great. I mean, we've been a traditional practice. We've been referral based. We are branching out significantly with the direct to patient marketing type thing. And we've had great success with that too, because again, it's one of those things you can't really rely on the traditional model as much as you could in the past. Back in the day, you could find several different referrers, a handful of referrers. You could just basically live off those guys. we kind of cast a broad net. We've got a lot of refers, and we only kind of get like a dribs and drabs from each individual one, which, you know, it works for us because as some retire, you know, we've kind of got a broad net. But the newest addition to our net is kind of the direct to patient thing, and that's been really, really helpful. And, you know, you guys have kind of talked us through that transition a little bit there too. And it's nice because in order to build our practice, we are able to give back some patients to these referring doctors. And it's great to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I'm sending this patient over to you. They need some crowns, you know, some veneers, bridge work. So it's nice to be able to actually give back to those referring docs, because it is you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, as opposed to, you know, hey, let me just take you out to lunch type thing. It's better to actually have something tangible to give them, and we've noticed a good return from that.
Now, for your office, Dr. Mark, your office, when you hired me, was already doing phenomenal. And so it wasn't like you had these great problems and you said, hey, we're having these great problems. So why did you guys want me to come on? You guys were doing very well. What was your reasoning for hiring consulting?
Yeah, I mean, we were doing well before. There's no question about that. But, you know, if you don't keep changing and keep evolving and keep cultivating new avenues, you're gonna kind of get complacent and wither and start to decline. So as opposed to doing that, we try to just, you know, always think out of the box, get different opinions about things, different inputs. And that's why we brought you along, because we know that you do a great job with Dr. Sheldon there. And we heard very good things about you. And my dad's been a member of your study club for a long time. And, you know, you guys do great things. And we were able to kind of get in contact with you and get you to come in and bring us to that next level. Because I think that's pretty much what we wanted to do, is kind of get to the next level. And it's done that. We've become more efficient, I feel, with you coming in. I mean, sure, we were very productive, you know, last year this time too. But now we're more efficient. I feel like that's the main improvement that we've been able to do. It's a lot of streamlining there. It's nothing. You haven't had to rebuild the wheel or anything like that. But it's just little tweaks here and there. Some bigger, some smaller, but just constant improvement. And we've had you back several times, and it's been absolutely fantastic each time. Each time there's several things that we can take away, we can immediately implement. Right. And it's been able to make us more efficient, more able to see the patients that we want to see, more able to close those cases. So it's been really helpful for us.
Is there a cringe factor involved in getting an outsider into the practice, where you kind of have to convince the staff that it's the right thing to do, or the staff says, well, we're doing fine without, we don't want somebody looking at us? Or did that occur with you, Mark, at all?
My staff is fairly open-minded. We've got people at the front desk that are fairly open to new opinions, which is nice. I mean, we've kind of hired for that. We like people that get along with other people, good morale. That's definitely something we hire for. You know, obviously there's going to be a few grumbles from a few people, but it's definitely, if this was 5 years ago, the staff we had 5 years ago, it would have been, you know, every time we'd bring in a consultant, it would be a near mutiny. But nowadays, it's actually it's fairly civil. So,
Ajay, what about you? Was there a cringe factor in getting Danielle out there?
Yes, because we had some staff that were very set in their ways. And I think the first time Danielle came out, she right away told me, shut the door and said, okay, this person needs to change, or it's not going to work out with all the changes that you want. Right. What I loved about Danielle's approach was, it's not personal. It's just, Dr. Satia, where you want to go, this is what you want to achieve, and this is what's standing in the way. And if these people don't change, you will not achieve your goals. And sure enough, those people either had to change, or they had to change lanes. They could not be in the same lane that we were in. and it worked out really, really good. I'm super, super happy with the team now.
And so now, I mean, I kind of know what the answer is. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother asking the question. But how does your staff feel about Danielle when she's either there? Of course, now a lot of the conferences are on Zoom. So, do they look forward to it? What happens? What happens as a result?
Oh, it's great. They don't even ask me questions. You just call Danielle and get the answer. No way. No, she's their best buddy from Florida. So it's just
Oh,
Yeah, we've had a similar result. Danielle's very personable, so having her in, it's not an overwhelming thing. She's not there to scare the staff straight or anything like that. So they feel like they can come to her with little flaps and things like that we need to improve upon. And it's a very positive experience, at least from our perspective. We love dealing with her, and the staff loves dealing with her too. So that's a good combination.
yes.
Great.
Thank you. Yes.
Well,
yes.
we appreciate it. Anything else that you feel that would be important for the guests that are on the webinar tonight?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Mark,
Oh yeah. I mean, the main thing is it's just kind of helped us rearrange some things. And it's nice to have, because we have weekly staff meetings, and deep down we know these are some changes that should be made, but it's nice to hear it from somebody else to tell the staff and kind of have that middleman so they can be the bad guy per se. So it's nice to hear it from her and kind of reiterate what deep down we know we need to make these changes. She says we need to make these changes, and then at every staff meeting subsequent we say, hey, these are the changes Danielle wanted to make. Have we done it yet? If not, why not? And what is the time frame where we can make these changes? So it's been able to, we've been actually able to implement a lot of this stuff too. Because, some consultants, they give you a whole handbook, and, a lot of that stuff you can't implement. Her stuff, it's things that you can actually take home. You can implement it. You can make it work in your office. Maybe we haven't been 100% diligent with everything, but she's been able to kind of work within our framework too. So again, she's not going to come into the office and just completely hack and slash through everything. She's going to modify what you're doing and just make it better, make it more efficient.
Of course, your staff came over to the office, what, once?
Exactly. I mean, that's one of the good things about being only a few hours away. We were able to basically send them in a car up to actually visit you guys, and that has been invaluable as well, because they've been able to see exactly how you guys run.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to hear it, say, this is what we do. It's a whole nother thing to actually have them see it.
Yep.
Seeing is believing, because
They say it does work. It really does work. She's not just talking.
They're like, oh my gosh, I thought they were just making that up. No, it works. You do it this way, things are going to work. And it's crazy how that happens.
Ajay, I think you're about to experience that, in the next couple of months?
Yeah.
Yes, we are hoping for an April trip up there, so can't wait. I would just say to people who are thinking about this is if you join the IDS and just look at the library of things, that's a wealth of information right there. And you'll get a taste of it. And I think even from that, if you implement 10% of that, you're going to grow. It's going to make your life better. But consulting, I mean, when I thought of consulting, I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot of work. I'm busy with family, my parents, my kids, my practice, my marketing, my management, HR, blah, blah, blah. There's so much to do. And what I found is that with the check sheets within 3 months, I'm actually working less and just doing a lot more. So just don't be afraid of the work, because actually you'll be working less and achieving more. It's just not a barrier that should be in your mind. And the second thing is keep your perio model. If it's working for you, or oral surgery or whatever you're doing, that's working fine, great. Just have the insurance policy for when things change, you have something to grow into. You don't have to lose sleep over what's happening in the world. You take control. Danielle and Lee, practice aside, I think you guys are helping make me a better leader, and I really appreciate that. I really do.
Yes, thank you.
It's neat for us to watch growth.
Yes.
That.
Oh yeah.
That's a big deal for us. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Sedu, Dr. McCauley, really appreciate we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And I'm sure if there are any questions, just pass them on to us. We'll relay them to the doctors if there's specific questions that you might have.
Yes, absolutely.
So those of you maybe you guys want to go off camera, and Danielle and I are going to talk
Sure.
we're going to talk to the group, and so we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
All right. You take care. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So you might wonder, what's this all about? Wait a minute, we've got a question. Hang on. Okay, and here's the question. All-in-one practices are popping up and provide major competition in our area. We considered bringing in our own part-time prosthodontists so that we can also provide a turnkey solution for full mouth implant rehabs. What are your thoughts for initiating this in a perio office? And the answer is this. I don't like to do things abruptly. The answer is ultimately that may be the right solution. It may be the right solution now, but when you're doing that and you're bringing bringing somebody in and you're providing the entire solution, then you need to be prepared for what's going to happen with the referral sources who are referring to you now. If you have a great relationship with your referral sources, then you want to maintain the relationships and make sure that you're communicating with them and telling them that any patient that's going to be referred to your office is not going to be kept in your office unless they specifically ask for that. So there's got to be a lot of communication there. Second thing is you really need to have a marketing program to make it work. And the third thing, and that's the reason that the IDS is here, is that marketing itself doesn't work unless you have infrastructure. Marketing is expensive. You know, we're talking about, and by the way, you all know, and you can check on our website anyway, we recommend Gilead Dental Marketing. Gilead Marketing knows what they're doing. They know how to work with periodontal offices and specialty offices. And they've been working with us for years, so they know what occurs, and they've been very, very successful for us and for many practices all over the country. But Gilead will tell you, as well as we'll tell you, that having a patient call you is different from a patient being referred to you. A patient calling you is somebody who's actually decided, I don't want to go to that other dentist anymore. Or it's a patient who's decided, I've let my mouth become a wreck because I had such a lousy experience with a dentist 15 years ago, and now I'm trying to find my way back in the system. But because I had such a lousy experience 15 years ago, I better find the right one. Well, how are they going to find the right one? It's going to be through your marketing. But once the marketing occurs, and it's got to be good marketing. It isn't just, well, I have a website. I have a website is very much like I have a brochure. I have a business card. I mean, how many people have come into your office as a result of a brochure or a business card? Marketing has a defined goal, and that's to get a patient into your office. And so we need to be working with people who are marketers. But at the same time, once that person calls, what Danielle or our staff is doing in that phone call determines whether that patient decides to make an appointment with you or click on the next website until they find somebody that they can communicate with.
Right.
So, yes, I would encourage it. Yes, I would, but I would encourage it with all of those precautions. Make sure your staff is trained to handle the new patient. Make sure you're communicating with the other referral sources. Make sure that if you're doing this, this is a gradual transition that you're programming, and you can make it work and make it work very, very well. We did, but understand the way we started. We started marketing in 2004. We learned from marketing the type of patient that we were seeing, and we learned that we needed more training in order to be able to be effective at treating that patient. Not that I didn't have the surgical skills, I did, but it was all of the other skills that we needed in order to be able to make that occur. We started in 2004. And then when my son, who had graduated from dental school and then did an AEGD, said, Dad, I'd like to practice in Melbourne. And I said, well, how about if you practice with me? By that time, we had all of the marketing, all of the training, everything in place, so that when he came in, it didn't make any difference to me whether we received another referral or not. The marketing was so good and our staff was so good that even if the referrals had dropped off completely, then we still could control the marketing and have a good practice. And what we experienced was the practice shot up, and we always had a good practice. The practice just shot up when we were doing both perio and restorative dentistry under one roof. Anything you have to add to that? Or?
That's good.
All right, good. Is there another question, or is that the same question? No, it's the same question. Okay, so originally we had designed this as helping people to come on, and of course there's always a pitch to join us in one way or the other. Originally we were going to say consulting, and we're still saying consulting a little bit, but frankly our consulting is almost completely booked up right now, right? It's, yep. Yeah. So we'd like you to get on a list for consulting. Danielle is doing weekends. She can do that. We have room for one full consulting client. That's all we have right now. But if you're interested in little weekends or little end of the week things that Danielle's doing,
Right.
Of course, she can.
The on-site ones,
that.
which are the ones that we spoke with Dr. Mark McCauley, where we come for 2 days. Those are open to, and the 1 year consulting seat is available. So if you are interested in that, or you want to discuss how it can work for you, by all means, do email us. Being a part of a member is a great idea for all of you. So if you're not currently a member, to get on the member, to be a member, that way you can have access to the library, the modules, and to us, unlimited email support, so I can help work with your staff. I would most definitely start there. There's no contract for that. You can do it month to month. It's a low cost of $297 a month. So I would encourage that. And if you feel like that's not enough for you, you want to do the 2 days, it's a great boost that does work very well with the membership program. And also, like we said, if that's not enough for you, you want to do your consulting, by all means, you can take us up on that 1 seat we have left. And if you want to be on the list, we can put you on a list for when those do end.
So the way to contact us if you want to join, our best special is of the years right now, and that is go to directorofdentistry.com/membership, and you'll have 2 free months of membership. Just try us out.
Try us out
before you go to the $297. If you want to talk about consulting, whether on a part-time, full-time basis, then just write to us at aipsheldon@gmail.com. I know that email address has changed, and that's because I was just locked out of the other emails. It will change back to the other one by tomorrow as soon as I unlock myself. Right now, go to that email address, or that's Danielle's phone number below. So whether we're talking about consulting or the special problems you have, or you want to discuss it and see which thing fits in better, whether it's a membership or whether it's consulting, or a little bit of each. There's lots of discussion to be had, because we want to understand what your practice situation is, and
Yes.
whether we might be able to help you or not. So we appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Hope
Yes.
to hear from you soon, and have a great holiday.
Thank you.